Hello everybody, good afternoon. Welcome to Crooked Peach. My name is Meredith and today I want to be talking to you about a new method of starting my seedlings, new to me this year. It's called winter sowing. And I actually have already released a video where I did some of this, but I failed to explain the reason, the parts, or the process. So I'm going to take care of that today. Alright, so winter sowing is a method where you can have your seeds start at their ideal germination time. They are kept outdoors, even though it's absolutely freezing. It's the middle of January. And they're really generally hands-off. You are unlikely to have to do a lot of watering to them, though you might, so you'll check your rates and, add a little water, perhaps. I think maybe the biggest draw to this for me, well, there's three things that are the biggest draw for me. Number one, it lets me start gardening in January without, number two, taking up vitally important and very little space that's available in my home. Number three, and this is a really good one, you don't have to harden them off. Because they're growing outside, you don't have to go through that process. And that, for me, is probably my biggest downfall with the seedlings. Because life happens, and sometimes you forget something, and it might be a couple of hours too late for them to perhaps survive. So, this method was a game changer. And I want to share it with you guys. So, here's what you need, and here we go. First of all, you are going to need containers. You can use a variety of containers, but a milk jug or a 1 gallon size jug is really very ideal for this situation. 2 liters also work, and juice containers work as well. So what you need out of your container is the ability for light to get through so that your seeds can germinate when it's time for them to do so, and so that they can receive that and start photosynthesis process, in the growth before you transplant. And it's kind of a magical sounding situation, but you want to have approximately 4 inches of soil in your jug. And so the size of the jug, or the depth rather of the jug or container, is important, because you want to be able to give your seedling enough room to grow super healthy roots and enough room to grow within the container without hampering its growth. So, I don't recommend things like, okay, I had one, oh, here it is, sorry. I don't recommend things like these, so a single use bottles. Now you can, and they will work, but they will dry out rather quickly, and it will remove that kind of carefreeness of it a bit, because you will have to water them and be diligent about making sure that they haven't dried out. A little dry is okay. Completely dry? No, we're not doing desert plants. I don't even think you can. Alright, so with your container, like I said, you want it to be tall enough, so you're going to want to cut your container. And you have a number of things you can use. I have the box cutting razor knife and a pair of scissors. Frankly, I like this better. But whatever you use, make sure it's clean and sharp, because a dull is a recipe for an accident. Another really important thing, in my opinion, is you're going to have to create drainage holes in the bottom of each and every container, or you're going to have root rot. And you don't want that, because then what's the point of doing any of this? This is supposed to be fun. So put your holes on the bottom. You can use a lot of things. I have actually used my Dremel a number of times. It is handy, but it makes a mess, and I don't care for that. I have tried the scissors, and if it's a thin enough walled container, it's really not going to give you a whole lot of trouble. But my favorite is this. But people use other tools too, by the way. I've seen people use wood burning tools and even glue stick guns, and if you choose to do that, it is easier, but don't do it inside, because that releases terribly noxious gases and you don't want to be breathing that. So anyway, so a box cutter. So the first thing you want to do with your container is to put drain holes in it. At this stage, before it's been taken apart in any way, it still retains all of its available structural integrity, and it makes it safer to do this. So get yourself some drainage holes on the bottom. Don't go crazy, but don't skimp too much. You want them to be able to drain out any excess. Alright, there you go. You're going to want to create your cut and leave a hinge if at all possible. Whoops, it's all good. So I'm going to cut this right about midway. I'm going to have 4 to 6 inches available for soil, which is pretty ideal for this. So there we go. So I have a hinge. See this? Alright, so now at this point, it is ready, except for this right here. You're going to have to throw your caps away and just throw them away. They cannot be recycled. The facilities are just not available or anywhere really in our country. I don't know if they're available anywhere. But, alright, so you're going to want to put potting soil in your little miniature container greenhouse. Potting soil. I'm not going to be doing this, showing you the parts. Potting soil. Not a seed starter, an actual potting soil. So seed starting mixes are great for starting seeds, but they're not going to hold the moisture long enough. And you are going to want to have some available nutrients for when the roots really start growing really good. So a potting soil, don't fertilize. That'll kill it. Just potting soil. Make sure your potting soil has been pre-moistened prior to putting any seeds in. Which brings me to my next thing. What are you going to need? Well, you're going to need seeds. And you probably want to know what kind of seeds can you do. Alright. Now that's why I have this. So, according to several publications, and this following website, which is the PennStateExtension.edu, this is an ideal method for all seeds that are not tropical plants. It will not work at all for any kind of a tuber or a corm or a rhizome. They will simply rot. And then there's some things that you just don't ever want to do. Don't winter sow carrots and then attempt to transplant them. They hate that. Onions are great. Carrots don't do so much. Melons, squashes, and pumpkins, they actually just might grow bigger, be healthier, and be more productive if you direct sow them. But they will germinate and grow and probably produce using this method. On the top of your seeds inside of your container, highly recommend that you put a little bit of vermiculite just over top of your seeds. This acts like a sponge. It absorbs all the excess water that may become present. You don't want these things again to be rotting. A little of this goes a seriously long way. And you also might be wondering, when should I direct sow? Well, it has everything to do with how long they're going to be out. So you want to do it where ideally you don't have any more than 2.5 months or so before you know it's going to be plant out time, because that gives them exactly enough time to flourish and become healthy transplantable plants. And at that point in time, you're going to go out and open your container. I just realized I forgot one step. You're going to tape it closed because it won't stay closed magically. So for that, I have used duct tape. I have also read that some people like to punch holes in each half of their container and use zip ties to zip them up. They find that easier than the untaping, and they might not be wrong. Additionally, some other containers. So like I said, the juice containers, hold on. Also, half gallons. And the colored 2-liter bottles, they work just as great. You just want light to penetrate your little miniature greenhouse. So then you're going to take your plants and you're going to set them outside. Put them where they'll be able to get full sun, but not get burned up. and preferably on the north side of your property. So we're going to go outside now, and I'm going to show you just some of my winter sowing jugs that are outside. I love it that I can free range my birds out here, and they are really quite safe as long as I'm around. But the winter sowing is why I came out. So these are the jugs that I have already planted. Alrighty. And I actually have flowers, herbs, tomatoes, oh yeah, and a lot of medicinal things like soapwort. So this is a way to be pretty hands-off, but legitimately garden in the middle of winter. Get your hands dirty so you can get your soul a little cleaner. At least that's what it does for me. Anyhow, thanks for watching. We certainly hope that you give us a like or a subscribe, but maybe come back and visit us and see how these things are doing in just a few weeks. Look forward to seeing you. Bye.